How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi. Welcome to another episode of On the Line. Guys, today's going to be a special episode. I'm going to forward the show over to retired Assistant Deputy Commissioner from the Massachusetts Department of Corrections, James Ferreira. I call him Butch because I'm allowed to now. He gets mad when I call him sir because he's down to earth, man. He's one of us. So it's going to be a great episode, guys. He's going to talk about 3 tips or advice that can help you when entering the frontline supervisory position. So these are the people that are going to take that initial attempt to supervise. So, which I think to me is the most important step. After that, it's pretty much easier. Again, responsibilities increase, don't get me wrong, but that first attempt, jumping into that supervisory role, is definitely the biggest jump when you're going from frontline to, let's say, sergeant, or at any area where you're going from a frontline worker to now being responsible for the actions of others. So again, this is going to be tips for soon-to-be frontline supervisors. So let me bring James on. What's up, Butch?
Good evening, Anthony. How are you?
Good, sir. So Butch, if you don't mind, I'm gonna have you introduce yourself, and then we're gonna go right into the show. So I'm gonna step away, and I'm gonna give you the mic, and it's my turn to shut up. So let me get you in, and I'm going to remove myself out.
Excellent. James Ferreira, former Assistant Deputy Commissioner, the Northern Sector for the Massachusetts Department of Correction. I started my career in corrections 35 years and 9 months ago. Before I retired, I started as a correction officer, worked my way up through some of the chain of command, ran special units throughout the department, as well as worked at several correctional facilities. Was overall responsible for 8 at the time, 11 at one time, which included the female facility and Massachusetts' only maximum security prison in the agency. One of the things we want to talk about today is for first-line supervisors, 3 tips that can make you successful. And the first tip we want to talk about is once you enter that first promotion to first line supervisor, we want to make sure that you enter that area humble. I don't think that many folks get promoted for what they did. I think they get promoted because of their potential. So utilize that potential to be willing to learn and grow as a correctional professional and a supervisor. You need to start to think about making sacrifices to take those policies and procedures that govern your operation and take them home, study, utilize those on your own time, so that when you're approached with questions from first line subordinates, you have some idea of what direction you want to go, what direction you want to steer those people to, so that you can solve the problem. Also, you need to keep an open mind at all times, so that when you get out and you supervise folks, that you're watching and you're learning how things are supposed to be done as well. Supervising or leading goes both ways. You have to be open to suggestions. You have to be open to seeing the process in real time and learning from that, learning from your frontline folks. The next point we have, or the next tip, would be to learn to delegate. Learn how to delegate and separate yourself from the daily operations. I think it's important that you not only delegate specific duties, but you learn to delegate your authority as well. The line staff need to be supported with the inmate population. As a supervisor, yes, you will delegate the authority. You'll delegate some responsibility to get certain tasks done, and you need to be able to step back and evaluate folks' performance, the people that work for you. You need to be able to evaluate their performance. You need to be able to pick out those things that may need improvement, that could help keep them safe. And you also need to be able to point out those things that are exceptional, or recognize those things that are good, so that you can promote that further on. amongst all the staff that work for you. But make sure that delegating the authority is important so that the inmate population doesn't undermine and your line staff stay connected. Finally, the third tip we have for you today is be prepared to take responsibility. This is one that you may not think of, but you'll learn about it relatively quickly. I think you need to start thinking about being responsible for operations in your area, even when you're not there or on site. There's going to be incidents that take place, for example, at the front Sally port where folks are supposed to be searched. Articles are supposed to be searched. They're supposed to be searched in a certain way, and it's supposed to be done correctly. And they're supposed to be done to everyone. When there is an incident in the Sally port, for example, in the front Sally port or the vehicle Sally port or somewhere else in the facility, they're going to come looking. Was this a one-time issue? Or was this an issue that happens every day under your supervision? Be prepared to take that responsibility. If people aren't doing the right things, you need to be able to take responsibility and say, yes, that was something that we needed to improve and we didn't. And as a result, it contributed to this incident. But you're going to have to be prepared to take responsibility for the operation in those areas. And it may even occur when you're not there. You're going to have to answer for the performance of your staff because you have the day-to-day oversight over those folks. Make sure you know what is supposed to be going on, why you're doing things, and how it's getting done, and then make adjustments from there. Thank you very much. My name is James Ferreira, and those are the 3 tips for supervisors.
Hey, James, thank you. You were awesome. If I could
don't know if that was good or not.
No, James, you were awesome, brother. If I could just do a quick summary of what was said for people that are listening. The thing about being humble, obviously, is exactly what he said. You got to go in willing to learn, because if you don't, then you're going to put a lid on yourself, which ultimately will affect the team. And by the way, guys, you're put in these positions because you have potential, not because you know it all. So having said that, you have to allow yourself to learn, because if you choose to kind of remain stagnant or think you're the smartest person in the room, you'll find out how quick you are not when shit hits the fan and you start losing the respect of the people that should have a voice. You also mentioned learn to delegate, which I think is great, because a lot of people sometimes get so connected to their contribution as a frontline worker that they forget that as you start to move up, you have to give other people that moment to shine. It's their time now. And when you delegate, you do have to delegate that level of authority, because you want to empower the people to make decisions. So again, they can get the job done correctly. I think that's a big transition for most people that jump from frontline to frontline supervisor, is that they're so used to doing the work that they don't delegate. And at the end of the day, guys, you have to learn to delegate. And part of that delegating is also teaching people the way. You know, I know that takes time and effort. And sometimes, you know, I know we get that deadline, but you have to always do what you can to learn to delegate and mentor people into what is expected of them. So again, learn to delegate 100%. And we also have being prepared to take responsibility. Exactly what James said, guys. I mean, that's one of the things that before you enter, these are one of the things that you have to consider. You are going to be responsible for other people's actions. You know, like as a frontline person, you may be responsible for each other. And I get that. We're for each other. But as a supervisor, you become responsible for people's actions. And having said that, there's no CYA. You know, there's no covering your own ass. At the end of the day, the wins you give up, that's to the team. But the losses, you step up, you take responsibility, and then you readdress. You know, and that's truly how you get your respect. Because remember, guys, how you act when you initially get into that supervisory position is what's going to give you that respect as you move further up. If you mess up at this point, it's going to affect that potential, not just to grow into the position, but to be seen as a leader. Because at the end of the day, I don't want people to see my position first. I want them to see me as a leader, you know, who's earned the position. So I think that was great, James. Thank you very much. And guys, if you guys are interested, don't forget, guys, there's more content that we put up here on Guardian RFID. So when you get a chance, please check it out. And as always, guys, the show is on the line. Be safe.